Welcome to the Lunch and Learn. And let's go ahead and get started. I'll share my screen. Okay, does everyone see the Lunch and Learn? We're good? Okay, so thank you so much for coming today. We're excited to share a bunch of trade show booth tips and tricks on your booth and how to maximize your leads and get people to be interested in your product or service. We'll start with some quick introductions. I'm Kim Oliver. I am the owner of Luck Branding. Luck stands for products you love, use, and keep. I genuinely love to help my clients find products that are budget friendly, as well as things that people are going to actually use and keep and not just throw away. So today I'll talk about a few things, and then I'll let Danielle introduce herself. Today I'm going to talk about how to boost your trade show success using promotional products in your booth display, and how to maximize your booth impact and attract the right audience, as well as create a memorable booth experience. Take it over, my friend.
Kim. Okay.
Go for it.
My name is Danielle Bornowski, and I am a marketing strategist. And I like to say that I help people make smart marketing decisions. So I am going to follow Kim talking about how to make that in-person experience really, really fantastic and memorable, and take the energy from that and move it into the rest of your interactions with people that you meet at the trade show. So how to follow up with people, how to be organized ahead of time so you can follow up when you're tired at the end of a trade show, and really how to turn those people that walk into your booth as leads into happy customers and raving fans.
Yay, we all want raving fans. Thank you. Okay, so kicking us off, why would a trade show even matter to go to it? So some people are like, I don't know, should I go to a trade show? Should I not go to a trade show? Will my right people be there? So I think the answer is yes, you should absolutely go. You can learn a lot of things about what's going on around you. You can build your brand and your visibility to people who may or may not know about you. Also, valuable connections that are within your industry. So the easiest way to get new clients is via referrals. So contacts within your own industry, I find, are really, really valuable. So I think you can too. Also, drive business growth and measurable ROI. That's one thing that Danielle is going to also get to touch on in a little while. How to measure that ROI. Alrighty, we'll talk about an effective trade show booth. So we'll start with indoor booths. On the left, you can see this hop-up banner. So you need a backdrop to really display your brand, what you have to offer. This would be great if you have a, oh shoot, I just forgot. I lost that joke. It's okay. Whoever was the one that was going to fly the airplane first, somebody help me. Come on, Ross.
The Wright brothers?
Are you talking
Wright
about the Wright
brothers.
brothers? Are you talking about Langley, who almost would have had he built a better
No.
railroad track?
I knew you would have the answer. The Wright brothers. Okay. So anyways, but this is just like, these come in multiple sizes. So you can get an 8-foot backdrop or a 10-foot backdrop, even up to 20 if you have a really large booth. So anything from simple, just a backdrop, to, if you look at the one on the right, it has a lot of different components to it. So this one, it really depends on what your goal is in the trade show. If you're trying to draw people into your booth to get them to come in and have an experience things that they do, or if you want to have a table that's set up at the front where they stop by the table, maybe pick up literature, talk to you, and then move on to the next one. Both have valuable uses. It just depends on what works for your company and your clients or the people that are attending the trade show, whatever that looks like. Also super important on the middle here of this slide is branding for your booth. Everyone in your booth should have on some sort of a shirt, either a uniform or something that has your brand. So it could be a polo shirt like the one that's shown here, or it can be something super fun. What about a Hawaiian shirt that is branded with your logo all over it so that you stand out, look different than everybody else that's attending? It just depends on your brand and where you're going to the trade show. But that's something that we can totally like talk through and come up with really cool ideas. Also here is branded merch. So if it was something that your clients might enjoy golf, here's a couple of things on here that would be like golf balls or a golf towel. The roles of promotional products in a successful trade show. So I always think that it's great to have something that attracts people to come into your booth. So giveaways. Giveaways could be pens or hats, or if you have products, something that they take away that is your own product. If not, creating an experience. Like recently went to a trade show and they had one of those crane machines. So it was a company that sold socks and custom socks. And so the crane machine was, you got to come by, they gave you a token and you play the crane machine. And if you pick up the sock with the crane, you get to keep the socks. So that one had a line for the crane machine that was really long. So that made that booth stand out a whole lot different than the rest of the ones that didn't have anything, a fun experience going on the inside. If we take a look at the booth that's on the top of this picture, you can see this one has a spot for a TV. So if you have a product that you're offering and you just want to like showcase a product, you can have that video running on loop in the back. So it takes away from your people having to talk and tell all of the attendees about what's actually going on at your booth. That kind of serves as an extra like salesperson, if you will. You can go super simple like the top one or more in depth like the bottom one. I'll point out something that's really cool that's in the bottom one. If you'll look at the two like cocktail looking tables, you can see that the top is their brand color. Then there's fabric around the actual table. The super cool thing about this is it's not just a table. It actually serves as the shipping container for most of that booth. So you can fold the booth up. It goes into that container. You take the fabric off, also put it into the booth, and then you just slap your label onto that container and ship it back to your office or ship it back to the next trade show that you're going to. So that's really cool. There's lots of things that can be dual purpose. Also, if you need somewhere to put your purse or your extra samples or whatever that is, you don't want to have any of those things like visible in the booth. That's a great little hiding spot for some things.
Kim?
Yes, sir.
All right, real quick. What are some good rules of thumb for proper giveaways? And then the other one is on the video, is there a particular length? I remember when I was at Northrop Grumman, it seemed like we had like a 30-second video, we had a 1-minute video, but they really didn't want a really long video. They didn't want like 10 minutes.
Yep. Short video for sure. The rule of thumb for any like social media is really like 3 minutes. You lose people, but also think about how long people have various short attention spans now. So 1 minute on a loop would probably be perfect.
Okay.
Because people aren't going to stand in your booth and just watch that for a long time. So it even can be without sound, right? It could have some sound, but it gets loud in the trade show area, so they're probably not even going to hear the sound if it's there. That also would just make it louder in your booth for the people that are talking to not be able to hear. So short things of just showing, like, here's what we do. This is just kind of like, the process of how things work in our company. That's what I would suggest. Those little videos are also great for your social media reels or your YouTube channel or your website, any of those things. You can just recycle them and use them over.
And as far as giveaways from like someplace, a really good one that I've heard of is this one called Luck Branding.
Yes.
They're apparently really, really good and very reasonably priced. Are there any good rules of thumb? Like for me, my average ticket price is around $400.
Yep. So as far as giveaways in a trade show, I would say know your audience, know who's showing up. So Russ, if we're going to use your company as an example, Russ works for a company that replaces auto glass. So if it was going to be like a car show or something, it might be I'm trying to think of something off the cuff right now. Possibly an ice scraper for your windshield, because that would be very useful today on this icy day, as well as something that goes with your brand that is budget friendly and people would keep it, because not many people where we are in Texas actually have an ice scraper. Sometimes maybe use a credit card, which I don't know if that's like good for your glass or it's not. Have no idea. But that would definitely be like something that we can talk about. Like talk about where the trade show is, how many people are attending, what your budget is, and like work to find something that works with all of those things.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Kim? Oh, sorry. Go
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just going to say, we don't really do trade shows in our business, but we do events.
Yep.
So like health fairs and stuff like that. And so,
100%.
Especially with the older people, like they're not to be mean, but they're like little vultures.
Yeah. So, I'll just hold that question for a minute because I'm going to address it soon. Perfect. But yes. And if I don't answer your question in a minute, please bring it up again.
No, I will. And I was just thinking about like and you may already going to be discussing it, but maybe if we're not doing a trade show with something as massive, like what are some things that are like outside the box that are not just like the things that pull up or whatever, just something like clever. I love the crane machine. I wrote that down.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
Yeah, I'm going to start Googling it while you're talking because I love it.
Danielle, you had something?
Yeah, I'm just thinking when Russ said kind of a cost per, that made me think. So is it more important or more beneficial, would you say, is there some sort of magic ratio of if this is your average sale or, or average ticket cost, some magic for the cost per promo or giveaway item in it proportionately, or is it that's just too pie in the sky and you really have to think about how many people are coming to the show, how many items you need, what your budget is, that kind of a thing?
I feel like it's the latter of what you said, not necessarily per the cost per sale, but if you can think about how many people are coming, how many people, I think it goes the cost per sale can go further than that, right? Like if Russ sold me a new windshield because, the rock flew up from the 18-wheeler in front of me and busted the windshield, then if I had a great experience there, then I learned about him at this trade show and got a thing, had a great experience with getting a new windshield, and then told my friends about it. Well, the cost per that one sale, it helps to, make more sales down the line. So I don't know a magic formula, but it might be a good thing. I'll make a note. Magic formula. I think that would be a good thing to know. I'll report back on the next Lunch and Learn workshop for that magic formula. Hold me to it, Russ. But I do
As an
think
engineer, I always want the magic
Okay.
formula. There's always
Okay.
got to be math in a spreadsheet.
Okay. I don't know that I'll have it in a spreadsheet, but I will have it in a formula. Yes, I do think that I prefer promo products that have value, right? Not necessarily a dollar value, but that fall through that filter of the love, use, and keep. So something that people are actually going to use and not throw away, because then you've wasted your money. So yeah, I think we'll touch more on this on another slide too. The very next slide. Matching your audience to the products in your industry. So that's kind of what we talked about, Russ. Matching the who's there with the industry, right? So something that goes really well. Also, doesn't always have to match the industry. So lip balm seems to be like the super popular thing to give out right now. Now there's value in a great lip balm, but that's definitely not in the car industry. So, it all depends. We can definitely talk through things that I would avoid, like stress balls. I don't think there's very many people that want stress balls unless you're in Jen's situation where people are doing rehab with stress balls. There's a lot of like elderly people who use the stress balls and they actually use them a lot. So it just depends. Practical and reusable items. I think that's kind of what we just talked about. Super big trend that's happening right now is the eco-friendly and sustainable options. Also, recycled material products. So many recycled material products are coming up right now. So even t-shirts made out of recycled water bottles. Who knew that was a thing? And they're super, super soft. Okay, tips for distributing promo products. So using your giveaways to spark engagement. So when someone comes up to your booth, if they're looking at whatever giveaway it is, then use that, engage people. It's super important to make sure that when people come into your booth or come up to your booth, that you engage them, that you greet them, that you not make it super awkward and weird. But some people just want to come get a free thing and keep moving, but that's not really going to help your business. And so it's sometimes like if it's a trade show where you really want them to come into your booth, I would suggest not even having a table at the front because that's sometimes like non-inviting. So, or to have a very small table, like one of those cocktail type tables that we saw a few slides back. Those work really great too. And if you have a limited amount of giveaway items that are out on a table, that makes it seem there's a little more, scarcity to that, and where people won't like open up their bag and scoop all the things into there. So, what else do we have? We have incorporate interactive elements. So this is where we talked about maybe the crane machine or some other type of a game. Another one is like where you spin the wheel and that tells you which swag item you get. I'm not a super big fan of that one because I would rather choose the one that I want to take, but a lot of people are using that right now. You could be creative and like put something else on the wheel besides which item you get. Save your super premium items for your good leads. So I've seen this a lot. Like if you have a really great notebook per se, or a Yeti water bottle, something that is higher value, if someone is engaging with you and they're really going to be a good client or potentially a good client, then that's when you can say, okay, well, we have these back here for our special folks, and thanks for taking the time to come in, talk with us. We look forward to following up, just like keep them going. And I have this special things for you. That would definitely not be something that would be sitting on the table, just waiting for everyone to come by and grab and run.
So for us, that would be like if, we probably would have a different giveaway if somebody's wanting to get a windshield done. That's a normal customer versus somebody who maybe is representing Penske, which owns a third of all the dealerships in Austin.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So maximizing your booth traffic. One important thing to remember about booths, especially the ones that I've shown today, is that they are modular. So you may go to multiple different trade shows or events or whatever, and they're all set up differently. You may have different space that, like sometimes standard is 10 by 10 booth. So I just went to one not very long ago that was 8 by 8. So that makes a really big difference when you lose 2 feet, 2 direction, like that's a lot of space that you lose. So we can make booth designs that can work for all the spaces where you can add to it, take some off, whatever that may look like. Wanted to point out one cool thing about the bottom one with the, if you can see the one with the TVs, the bottom right, it has lighting. So that's optional if you were going to be inside somewhere and you wanted to really focus on one thing. This one you can see like all of those. You can have like one big picture that kind of goes across the back of that, or it could be 3 different things if you were focusing on 3 different things. All of that is really just customized to whatever you need in a kind of off the shelf booth display. So it gives you a really custom feel, but still budget friendly. Same thing for the top one. It's the hop up one. That one, if you can see on the sides, it has it's not just the like flimsy backdrop that goes across the back, but it has like sides so you can wrap around on the edges. That one is really neat. And both of those are super easy to put together and put up, like 10 minutes. Which is nice when you're having to put up your own booth and maybe with 1 or 2 people. The one with the pink and the green cars, those are what I really recommend over a retractable banner. So retractable banners, they're the ones that come in the little case and you pull it up and it has a little stick behind it. Those can get flimsy, especially if you're going to be outside. They'll blow over real quick. And yes, it become a little parachute. So these are kind of described as like a sock sometimes. So it just is like a sock. It fits right over and slides down. Super easy if you keep the stand, if you need to change out the graphics for a different time, if you are going to multiple different audiences and you just want a new graphic, we can do that. Super easy. What else? Booth design checklist. This is something that I'm always willing to help my clients that are doing booths, especially when if an event or trade show is new to you, then I have some documents I can email and I'll send it to those of you that are on the call today too, so that you'll have it. Don't forget the business cards. It's so fun when you go to a booth and you want their information. They're like, oh, we forgot our cards. No. Okay, so when you're not doing an indoor trade show and you're doing an outdoor booth or another kind of event, what do you need? You need durability, things that last, things that don't blow away in the rain or the wind, right? We all know it's super windy. Things that are going to attract your booth, draw people in, like also, you know, it's super hot in Texas in the summer, so the cover of a tent is really great. You can get the sides, the full back cover can be great for your branding. Those side panels too are great if you're trying to block the sun or the wind, and you can actually put that one at the top or the bottom. So if you wanted to have it at the top to block the sun from coming in and keep your booth from being 9,000 degrees, they also come with wind slits in there to allow some airflow to come through. A couple of other things is attractions for this would be like to attract people would be a cornhole game or some other kind of, a lot of outdoor things are kind of geared around kids. So make sure you have some sort of kid activity that's going on within your booth to draw the kids and then the parents who have the money to come in. And that is it for me. I'm going to go back one slide. Jen, did I answer your questions?
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to hand it over to my friend Danielle.
Well, I just want to go build a fun booth now with 3D and upstairs conference areas and TV screens blasting things. So you have the makings and the elements now, right, to bring people in. And when you are if you have a booth somewhere, you probably paid for it, right? If they didn't charge you, then nobody showed up and then they got frustrated. There's no accountability. So even if you paid $5 or $10 for a booth, you probably, and you're doing this, you're spending money, you've purchased items to have to make your booth and then to have at your booth to hand out. And we want to make sure that it's not just another day that you were out in the hot sun or in the really windy cold or in a crowded space where you didn't have any cell service and, you know, couldn't even check your email during the slow times. So how do you strategically use the leads, or how do you collect leads of the people that are coming in your booth and strategically leverage that so that you can start conversations long term? So if you will change slides for me, Kim. Thank you. So when you go to a conference or a trade show or even a full day, some sort of event, it's a many to many approach, right? Like you in the booth are talking to a million people. The people are talking that are coming to booths are talking to a whole bunch of booths. And it's a little bit overwhelming. You get a lot of swag, you get a lot of one-pagers, you get a lot of brochures, and people try to get creative and have a different sized brochure or a fold out or a pop-up, which is fantastic and memorable, but you're still a little bit overloaded. And then you go home and the bag of swag, okay, if you're, as long as you're not Kim, Kim and I were talking yesterday. She's like, I've already been through this bag of swag from last week. Okay, if you're not Kim, most people bring their bag of swag home and set it right next to their desk, like, or on the floor. Like, I'll get to that when I get caught up, right? You are trying to come home, you're introverting for a little bit after being extroverted, trying to catch back up with the daily grind. You've got emails to check, you've got tasks to do, all the things, right, to get back to normal. And that bag of swag slowly and slowly gets pushed further and further away. And if and when you actually do go to open it, a lot of the stuff you forget who it was. You can't even picture the face with the person that gave you the item, and you don't have as much of the connection and the inspiration. So I love conferences and events, and things like that. I get so much energy from them, love to go to them, and have learned about myself that I have to be super intentional, either to take notes with this stuff, like on somebody's business card or on a one-pager, what resonated and what landed with me, and to be really specific in planning follow-up afterwards. Otherwise, it will just disappear into oblivion. So how can we take a fleeting interaction with somebody and turn it into a crucial, or a great conversation that moves forward? So Kim, if you'll change the slide for me, please. Okay, so there's this idea that if you build it, they will come, except that they don't, unless you're in Field of Dreams. So there is a study from Google called 0 Moment of Truth, which says that it takes 7 hours, 11 interactions, and 4 separate locations of connection for a person to make a big decision to trust you. So let's talk about the time. 7 hours for someone to trust you. That is a lot of time to invest on a lead. Now, if your product is or the service or product that you're charging or selling is $1 million, then maybe a 7-hour investment is totally worth it. If you're selling something that on average the cost is, let's take Russ's example, $400, that's a really hard thing to justify 7 hours one-on-one face-to-face, right? But it doesn't have to be 7 hours one-on-one face-to-face. This can be consuming content online. This could be reading emails from you. This could be looking at a one-pager that you handed out. 11 interactions is a lot. Seems like, okay, how am I going to track this? And if you are a list person, you're probably like, okay, I got to start a checklist, right? 11 interactions can come in a lot of different ways too. The first interaction can happen at your booth. Second interaction could happen if you bump into somebody checking out of the hotel after the conference. Third interaction can be from an email. Fourth can be social. There are a lot of different ways to hit those. And then that 4 separate locations, all of those things I just listed can hit for a separate location as well. But basically, it's kind of like asking somebody to marry you on the first date. You're not just gonna like talk to someone and for 5 minutes and they're like, take my money, you are the person, and I've got all of the, I'm ready to do business. It happens like that sometimes. And you can certainly have a great connection with somebody, but that decision to go from I'm testing the waters and talking to you, I'm a little overwhelmed, to hey, here's my money, let's do business together, it takes some time. All right, next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so how do we take that knowledge, knowing that people need to be able to, I like to call it binge consume content from you. You need to be binge worthy, right? Whether somebody sits on your blog and reads article after article, or signs up for your emails and gets kind of on a bunny trail of YouTube videos or social media content or phone calls or talking to other people. You need to have some binge worthy content. So, you've got to have the booth that draws people in, right? If you can't get them to begin with, then they're not going to become leads and become prospects. So Kim has given you the tools for that, for an incredible booth that has the little machine that they can come and get great swag. Fantastic. You've got swag that they love, right? Not chapstick, probably not stress balls, but you've got some fantastic swag that is thinking, about your customer in mind. The next piece of it is you need to exchange contact information with people. because most people in a booth at a conference, at a trade show are not, or at a health fair, are not just, they're not doing financial transactions in the booth. So you've got to get their contact information, get permission to follow up with them and reach out to them in the future so that you can, excuse me, so that you can continue to have this conversation and get that 7-Eleven for. With that, you need a plan for follow-up. So what does that look like? Because not only are the people attending conferences, wellness fairs, trade shows, going home exhausted and overwhelmed, but so are the people that are sitting in the booths. You're trying to get back in the daily grind. You have a car full of stuff that hopefully nothing was wet when you packed it up. Hopefully you didn't forget to take an apple core or a banana out of that bag, because it might sit in your garage for a couple of weeks until your partner says, I can't walk over here, or the kids trip on it, or whatever the case is. So what is that plan for follow-up, and how can you put it into place beforehand so that you don't come home and miss out on these leads? Because the longer you wait to connect with people after an interaction like this, the lower probability you'll have of them remembering how fantastic you are and want to continue to engage with you. So if you'll change slides for me, please, Kim. Thank you. So a lead generator is something that exchanges valuable information, something of value, for someone's contact information. And in an inbox, an email, is a really intimate place to be. Like if you think about, phones are always in pockets, they're close to us, we look at them more than we look at pretty much anything else throughout the day. So if somebody gives you their contact information, that is a big deal. So in order for them to give you that big deal of their contact information, you got to give them something in exchange. And the lead generator or lead magnet, whatever you want to call it, needs to be something so valuable. People are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was free. Did I really just get that? So ideas for lead generators, depending on the business and the industry that you're in, could be, if you're in a consulting type role, could be a 20 to 30 minute coaching or advisory session. This is a quick win for them. It's a low lift for you. And you can give them 1 or 2 quick pieces of advice. Like you've learned some stuff from Kim today, taking notes. That could be a lead generator. A toolkit explaining a framework. So if you have a process or a system, you can put together a quick couple of pages to explain that. It's not going to be enough that they could go do it on their own. It's going to be enough that they try to do it on their own and then realize that you're definitely the expert and they need to call you. It could be a template for overcoming a challenge. It could be a discount or coupon depending on your service. Now, I will say I don't love discounts and coupons because I don't want to affect your bottom line. But occasionally, in some situations, a discount or coupon really will draw people in. So it depends. It could be a sample. If you are in a CPG industry, it could be a free trial if you have a service. It could be a guide to something new or challenging in an industry. So there were a lot of lead generators around AI that came out about 18 months ago. And then when ChatGPT launched in November, the people that had started putting those things out about AI and how to use it for content and things like that, they were already the trusted experts in the field because they were proactively putting stuff out about things that were new and different. Another lead generator can be a quiz or self-assessment. People love to learn about themselves. They love to fit into a category that shows that people understand them, that they're not crazy or, quirky or whatever, that there's a definition for who they are and what they enjoy. People love quizzes. What quizzes and self-assessments also do is validate them as a potential client or customer for you. So if they answer questions, and I'll use me for example, I've got a marketing assessment. If somebody goes through and scores 100% on this marketing assessment that they are already doing every single thing that's listed, then they're not a good fit for me. So I'm not going to waste their time talking to them, trying to sell them on something they don't need. And they're not going to waste my time talking about something they're not going to buy from me. It also, if they score a little bit lower and there are areas for opportunity, it helps me to see exactly where they are, and I can jump much more quickly to have that conversation with them. So lots of different examples of lead gens or lead magnets. I would love to hear, Russ or Jennifer, are you either one using a lead magnet like this? And if so, what kind? What is it?
I'm not. And
Okay.
so I think it's a great idea. Can you, how do you do, like, if you're in like I'm in an event, how do you get them? How do you give it to them or send it to them? Or is it a paper? I might have missed that part because I was writing
Nope.
some notes.
It's different depending on what it is. So if you were, let's say you were going to put together a guide for, what is your industry?
Senior care.
Senior care. So you might put together a resource for family caregivers. So if you are the caregiver, primary caregiver for an aging family member, this might be a toolkit of resources that are available, self-care for when you are caring for aging parents, something like that. There are lots of things that you could do to provide value like that. That would be a PDF or something that you could create.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are, depending on what if you have a website, what platform your website is built on, that might have some, but there are lots of, from a technical perspective, there are lots of systems that you can essentially put it to kind of gate wall it, or put it behind an email wall where you have a QR code at your booth and you're like, scan this to download our top 5 tips for caring for aging parents. People scan that QR code, they enter their name, their email address, and they get access to that.
Okay.
And that way, and then that invites you to follow up with them.
No, I love that. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome, sure. Russ, any lead gen tactics happening on your end?
Nothing this good. Holy smokes. This has been very enlightening. I do want to throw in that Kim was absolutely not lying about wind and the little covers turning into giant kites.
Yeah.
I've actually spent a lot of money on weights to hold down the tent. And by the way, as just a general rule, I've come up with the idea that whatever you think is an appropriate weight to hold down the tent, you need 4 times that much.
I've experienced the same thing.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, and especially you don't want your tent to be the one that flies at a classic car show in all these classic cars, which
Definitely
we
not.
have actually seen other people happen.
Yay.
So our big thing, believe it or not, is glass cleaner. That is our number one thing. People love the Glass Doctor glass cleaner. It's very similar to spray away. The one thing that we had we had seen some people that have a wheel, and so you can have like different giveaways or whatever. The tough part with us is that I was saying so valuable they can't believe it's free. I could see us also throwing in, hey, maybe you win free windshield wipers or free uh, if you put a small band of tint along the top of your windshield, it's called an eyebrow. A lot of people like that. These are things that we can offer for actually not that much in cost, but they are $20-$30
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then, the other the big one that we just added in as far as our giveaway was this. It's the 6-in-1 multi-tool pen. You got to remember a lot of the people who we deal with are sort of mechanically inclined. We went down to Minuteman Press and we got some notepads. I don't know what's a good giveaway. Or a good thing. Self-assessments, I agree. People love to take them. I think Kim and we figured out what type of animals we were.
We did.
Kim, I can't remember, were you a peacock or a dove?
I was a dove.
Yeah,
You're
and
the eagle, right?
I was the only eagle in
The
our
only
group.
eagle.
And they still call me the eagle in our group.
Yes.
But the thing
You're
is that
right. But think about how you can take those things, like if you were going to offer a trade show special, right? If you sign up to come in and get a new windshield at the trade show, fill this form out, and with doing this, then we'll throw in the eyebrow thing or free windshield wipers, or choose which one of these three items that you want. So I think that's how you can, it doesn't always have to be like, what is the best swag? It can be, what is the best value for your client?
Right. That's a good point, Kim, because the thing that with the lead generator, it's different than swag. Swag is bringing people in and keeping you top of mind. The lead generator is getting their contact information and permission to follow up with them. So, not everyone, I would imagine, not everyone is ready to replace their windshield right when they talk to you. But when they get that chip, when something happens, when they're ready for an eyebrow, we want you to be the one they call, not whoever Google lists first. So if we can put together a lead generator that captures their attention and it is something valuable, maybe it is, enter your contact information, and we're putting together an ultimate bundle giveaway that's got an eyebrow and the cleaner and the this and the that could be something, right? You can win a package or a basket. But sometimes those lead gens are kind of adjacent to our adjacent to the business. So like with Jen's example, they do senior care. My go-to was if you're caring for aging parents. You would think that if somebody's caring for aging parents, they wouldn't necessarily be looking for senior care, but that might just be because they don't know that it's affordable, that it's accessible, how much value they can get out of it until they have a conversation. And so when they get that how to care for aging parents information and Jen follows up with them, she's able to start planting the seeds and asking questions and letting them know that there is hope beyond this completely frantic and frazzled state. So I think that there are ideas, Russ, that we could think of for ways, because we just want to capture contact information so that you can follow up with people, so that you are the one that's top of mind. And I love the glass cleaner is a great swag. That's fantastic. That's good to know, right? Like that's really good feedback to make sure that you've always gotten your.
And we've kept trying to find something other than glass cleaner as the swag. Nothing has been as popular as this. Even little rubber ducks. We've also switched to rubber ducks, which are very popular with Jeep owners, and kids love them. But then they always come back and say, but I also want that glass cleaner.
That's great.
So yeah.
If it's not broken, don't fix
it. That's what I was going to say. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Oh, what about those little, so what do you what are you putting the glass cleaner on? Like the glass, and then how are you wiping it off? Like, what about a custom hand, whatever?
Oh, I like
towel?
That. Like a microfiber towel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll need to talk with some folks I know over at Luck Branding.
I bet they can help you.
Of any good.
We can definitely connect after this.
All right.
But this is super helpful because I can see, like you were talking about, the quiz, the self-assessment, the training or whatever. There are some things that we can offer for that for dealerships and for fleet customers and things like that, which is really who I want to mainly get to, because while selling one windshield is great, selling 100 windshields is better.
Yeah. And you can have more than one lead generator. I've probably got 20, depending on who I'm talking to, what problem they're trying to solve. It's the opportunities are certainly endless. In fact, I'm like looking at this like a challenge. Like I'm pretty sure that I have a lead generator that fits every category on this list right here. So they can completely vary, which is pretty cool. Alrighty, so Kim, if you'll change slide for me, please. Thank you. So we definitely want to categorize leads based on their engagement level and potential fit for business. And I've touched on this a little bit, but if you had somebody that came and just wrote their name down next to the swag and you felt like they felt kind of obligated or compelled to, versus somebody who came and talked to you and looked you in the eye and seemed very engaged in having a conversation with you about your product or service. Certainly when you're going to do follow-up, the person that was more engaged is a higher priority. And so when you can have a personalized follow-up that helps to remind them of the conversation that you had, or the booth that you presented. Again, it makes it easier for them. So if you think about, you want to make things as easy for your target audience as the person on the other end, you want to make things as easy as possible for them. They're getting, I don't know, 40-ish thousand messages a day, and you are one of them, marketing, conversation, what have you. And so the easier you can make it for them to remember and recall what you do and how you can help them, the better. So you don't want to send it's really easy to send an email that's like, hi, everyone. It was so great to meet you all at this trade show, yada, yada. Here's some follow-up information, which feels like it's one to many. It doesn't feel personal. But if I send an email that's like, hey, Kim, I'm so glad, so great to meet you at the trade show or the conference. I'm a little bit tired from all of that networking, but I had made so many great connections, including with you. Want to follow up X, Y, and Z. It feels more personal. And if you have a CRM or a email mail merge tool, you can do that where it feels much more personal in that way, but isn't you copy and pasting names in emails 150 or 500 times. You want to make sure that you're responding timely, of course, within 24 to 48 hours of leaving the conference is ideal, but also don't be spammy. So don't become a stalker. If you'll change the slide for me, Kim, thank you. So a lead nurturing sequence, right? Okay, so you've had a great booth. You captured their contact information with some sort of a lead gen. You're going home to follow up with them. These are the 3 emails and 3 follow-ups that I recommend. First one is one of 2 things. Either it was great to meet you, or if you did a PDF or some sort of a lead generator that you're delivering, then you deliver the asset. Second email is a little something for you. So this is going back to the 7-11-4. You're giving them something else that's valuable, again, to show how you are the expert in the field, and give them something. You're not asking them to do business. You haven't even done that yet. You're just saying, hey, I think you would love this based on our conversation, or based on the topics at the conference this week, like I have this other resource and I think you would enjoy it. Third one is the follow-up, and it's the let's connect, where you're saying, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing. Russ, it could be like, I'd love to hear more about, the fleet and how your fleet and how you're managing that. Love to talk shop, and you invite them to a virtual call or an in-person call. So those are the 3 follow-ups. They're super easy to schedule and get ready ahead of time. And they're very personal, and people really appreciate connecting in that way. Okay, look at us right in time. Okay, so I have, as a lead generator, I'll be completely honest with you, I have a template for this kind of a thing. So if you scan the QR code, you can download this resource that I've got that outlines those 3 emails. It also gives you kind of sample template that you can fill in blanks based on your information. There are a couple of just kind of bonus pro tips that I was thinking about, that I want to make sure people know about, and has my contact information if you have additional questions. And I made sure that you will receive the 3 follow-up emails that I outlined in this sequence, so you can see what they look like, and see how that works based on it. So what questions can I answer while we're still hanging out together?
Well, it works because I've already gotten the email from you.
Yay!
This was really helpful. Really helpful.